Yo, what is up? Welcome to the Fantasy Football Prodigy channel, and in this video, we are once again going to be setting my fantasy football lineups across my 3 leagues. We're headed into week 12 of the 2022 fantasy football season. We have some tough start-sit calls. We have some non-PPR, half PPR, dynasty, redraft, one quarterback, superflex, all sorts of good stuff to get into. So we're going to start with our first of the 3 leagues. This is a redraft league, non-PPR, one quarterback. And last week, I did unfortunately take an L to scoliosis. I am now 7-4. But yeah, here's the little recap from last week. Justin Fields did pretty well. JT had 13. Other than that, and the Patriots defense going off, it was not enough to keep up with Tony Pollard, Olave, Joe Burrow, and of course, Daniel Carlson, former Minnesota Viking. We love him here in Minnesota. But yeah, no Tyreek Hill, no Metcalf. I did keep Jason Meyers at kicker and added Nick Folk just because I really like Meyers. I normally don't roster 2 kickers, but I wanted to keep him. So and that was kind of last week in terms of transactions. I did end up dropping Nick Folk because I'm just going to start Jason Meyers moving forward, most likely. I added Demarcus Robinson, and I also added James Cook. I put Edmonds on IR to free up a roster spot. And Hollywood Brown, who I recently traded Garrett Wilson for. I traded Garrett Wilson away for Hollywood Brown. Looks like Hollywood Brown is coming off injured reserve, so that's nice. And then I had to drop James Cook and pick up Jacoby Brissett because, as you will see, it's looking like Justin Fields is not going to start this week. So Kirk Cousins played on Thursday night on Thanksgiving. He played mighty well as my Minnesota Vikings got a nice little win. But at that time, there was still some hope that maybe Justin Fields would play. So I didn't want to start Kirk Cousins on Thursday just to hear, oh, Justin Fields is playing on Sunday and have him score 40 points. So I did pick up Jacoby Brissett in the chance that Justin Fields does not take the field. No pun intended. It was between him and Taylor Heineke. Heineke has the better matchup, but my gut just told me to go with Jacoby Brissett. I just think Amari Cooper and Donovan Peoples-Jones will both have solid games. And I think the Browns and Tampa Bay game could be a little bit more high scoring than we might think it's possible. So I'm going with Brissett. I also think he's a little bit safer than Heineke. Brissett's kind of been playing not too bad for fantasy. So I'm just rolling with him. Brissett or Heineke are not ideal, but those are my options with what's on the waiver wire. I already played Rhamondre Stevenson, who had 11.2, and Dalton Schultz, who got in the end zone twice in this non-PPR league. So other decisions, there's not really too many. Miles Sanders, I am starting him, even though he's had a rough last couple games. I'm just going to keep playing him because I think he will have a good game. And then Jonathan Taylor, he's had 2 good games in a row. Hopefully he can keep it going on Monday night against the Steelers. Tyreek Hill is an every week start. And then Metcalf against the Raiders. If you saw my start of the week video, you know I love Metcalf, I love Lockett, I love Geno, I love that whole Seattle offense against the Raiders in week 12. I do like Latavius Murray as a start in a pinch, but with the options I have, I'm not going to start him, but I will be starting him in another league, it looks like. And then Hollywood Brown, his first game back from injury, just because of the options I have with Tyreek and Metcalf, I'm going to stick with those guys and just let Hollywood Brown have a game to get back, get acclimated. And then Courtland Sutton, he's talented, but that offense is just dreadful. And I am going to have to start Sutton in another league, but in this league, I have better options. And then Jason Meyers against the Raiders. And then I did also play the Patriots defense against my Vikings. And of course, they didn't do very well because you can't stop the Minnesota Vikings, man. Taking a look at our next league, this is another redraft league, but this was a auction draft. The other one was a snake draft, so that was the League of Bros. This is the Auction League of Bros. This is half PPR, Superflex. And also, sorry, one more thing before I move on to that league. In this, in the first league, I'm currently now 4th in the standings, and 6 teams make the playoffs. So it's getting pretty close here. It's getting close. And the team I lost to is 10-1. They're on a 10-game winning streak, so they're hot. But we'll move on to our half PPR Superflex league. Looking at last week, I got a miracle win. It was much needed. My opponent did have Kyler in the lineup and didn't take him out, and I only won by 0.24. So he could have picked up, anyone. Who's the backup? Colt McCoy. He could have put Jimmy Garoppolo at quarterback and played Ayuk, and he would have got the win, but you snooze, you lose. I should have played Dawson Knox over Tyler Conklin. I did lose Dallas Goedert and Zach Ertz in this league, so that's tough. We're also without Javonte Williams in this league and the previous league, so we're still trying to recover from that, but the running backs are still pretty solid in this league. We were without Waddle, Metcalf, Kenneth Walker, and Geno. So, and I only picked up Zach Wilson because with Kyler questionable, I was kind of trying to block him, but he didn't pick anyone up anyways. In terms of transactions, here's kind of what's going on across the league, if you care. I'm just going to focus on what I have been doing. I am the AL Iron Men. So what did I do here? I dropped Ertz. Oh, this is from last week. So I dropped Conklin, I dropped Zach Wilson, I added James Cook, and then I dropped James Cook for Odell Beckham, and I put him on my IR because he was listed as out for some reason, even though he's not on the team. And then I added Sky Moore, just because he's a rookie, and maybe sort of at the end of the season he'll emerge, but if not, I can always just cut him. And then this is the matchup so far this week, and we have not had a good start. Jacoby Meyers only 7.7 in half PPR against my Vikings. He luckily had a catch on the last play of the game, I'm pretty sure it was. And then Dawson Knox, I loved him as a nice little streamer. He only had 2.7 against the Lions. And I did play Dak Prescott over Kirk, and Kirk had about 7 more points than Dak. So a couple bad calls, starting Dawson Knox, starting Dak over Kirk. And honestly, if I could, I would go back and play Josh Palmer over Jacoby Meyers, because we now know that Mike Williams, last I checked, he's probably not going to play for the Chargers, and Josh Palmer, he's coming off a big game, so I went with Meyers thinking he'd be safe, and he didn't have a complete bust of a week, but 7.7 in a must-win matchup. I'm going to need more than that, but hopefully some of these other guys can pick up the slack here. And I made a rookie mistake here. I should have put Dak in at quarterback and put Geno in the Superflex, just in case I need to make a switch. I have more flexibility if Geno Smith is in at Superflex versus if he's in at quarterback. So kind of like what for my opponent last week, if he would have put Jimmy G here and Kyler in Superflex, once Kyler was out, he could have just put Ayuk in there, for example. You know what I mean? You just have more flexibility that way, but hopefully it won't be a big deal. Other than that, Aaron Jones, Kenneth Walker, and Jonathan Taylor, those are pretty much lineup locks. Aaron Jones makes me a little nervous just because he's so up and down, but I'm going to roll with him. And then Jalen Waddle and DK Metcalf are in the lineup. Jalen Waddle, he's great. I'm going to play him, even if hopefully they actually have to throw the ball a little bit against the Texans. And I already talked about Metcalf. In terms of tough decisions, Josh Palmer or Jacoby Meyers was really the only tough call. And yeah, that's pretty much it. With the Commanders, I think Antonio Gibson is starting to kind of take hold of that backfield again. So Brian Robinson, not involved in the passing game. If he's not seeing a ton of rushing work, even in a good matchup, it might be kind of hard to trust. So that's kind of that league. And then for the standings, it's a 10-team league. So this was the previous league was 12 teams. This is 10 teams. Only 4 teams make the playoffs, and I'm currently a couple games back. So it's been rough. It's been rough. In terms of points scored, I'm about in the middle. So points against, I'm about in the middle. So it's just been kind of some bad luck and some injuries, but hopefully we can get lucky here. And finally, we got the Dynasty League of Bros. This is a big one. I'm trying to get some dubs here, but last week I did not do that. In fact, I had a hot streak of wins, but I had an abysmal week. I lost by more points than I scored. I lost by 70, and I scored 66. My opponent had himself a nice little week. As you can see, he even played Demarcus Robinson against me, who had 128 yards. Everyone on his team did well other than Thielen and Granson. Other than that, everyone was double digits. So this is honestly, it was a good week to have a bad week. I had to start Matt Ryan because Brady, Tua, and Trevor Lawrence were all on bye. So that's tough. And then Miles Sanders had an off week. JT and McCaffrey both had about 14. Mixon got hurt in that game as P. Ryan scored 3 touchdowns. We'll talk about him in a bit. And then Mike Williams, I put him in. I had this weird, there were night games involved and injuries. And long story short, I played DJ Moore in the early game just so I had someone in my lineup. Mike Williams and Hopkins were both active. I decided to go with Mike Williams on the Sunday night game. He had 1 catch for 15 yards before re-aggravating an injury and leaving. Meanwhile, if I would have played Hopkins, he had 13.6. Ultimately, it didn't matter. I also thought about saying maybe I'll wait till Monday night if Hopkins is, see what's going on with the Dortch, maybe put him in the lineup, but everything just went wrong. Sutton had an okay game, but yeah, Cardinals defense -4. It was just a week to forget. So transactions, what did I do here? This is a dynasty league, by the way, so the waiver wire is pretty bare, but I did add Sterling Shepard. He was on our waiver wire for a while, and then I dropped him, and I added Tristan Ebner, who is the Bears' number 2 running back, with Khalil Herbert injured currently. So I don't know, I just picked him up. He's young, probably won't do anything for me, but for this week, I have had one person play, and that was Dalton Schultz. This is a half PPR league, so he had 17.1 points. Listen, Dalton Schultz, I loved him in the offseason. He had a slow start with injuries and Dak missing time, but it's looking like he's starting to find a bit of a groove. And then this is the lineup right now, so we have some injuries, unfortunately. We'll get to that in a sec, but I'm starting Tua. I think Tom Brady is an okay start this week, but I'm just going to go with Tua, even though the Texans give it up on the ground and not through the air, just because teams don't have to throw. I'm just going to start Tua every week at this point, and I don't think the Houston's their defense is necessarily good. Teams just only have to run against them. And I could see the Dolphins maybe still just throwing it a little bit, but we'll see. McCaffrey is obviously an auto start. Jonathan Taylor's in there. I'm starting Miles Sanders. And then so this is a 2 flex, 3 wide receiver, 2 running back. I am starting Latavius Murray as well. As you can see, Joe Mixon is out. No McKissic, no Darrell Williams. I don't want to play DJ Moore against Denver. Mike Williams is out. Zay Jones is always solid, but he doesn't have a ton of upside. No Goedert, no Pitts. So, and I do have Pirine as well, but I just like the matchup a little bit more for Latavius. And, with no Edmonds, no Melvin Gordon, no Mike Boone, he's going to have that backfield all to himself. So I don't like this game in general for fantasy, but I think Latavius Murray will have a nice, safe floor. And if he can fall in the end zone, I'll be very happy. Courtland Sutton, I don't want to start him, but I would rather start him against Carolina over DJ Moore against Denver in that same game. And then Hopkins is an auto start. Chris Godwin against Cleveland. I love that. And then I'm playing the Bears against the Jets over the Cardinals or Chargers who play each other. So, yeah, we're dealing with some injuries here, but that's fantasy. Hopefully we can get healthy by the end of the season. And before we end off the video, here are the standings. This is a 10-team half PPR dynasty league. 6 teams make the playoffs. So I am 1, 2, 3. I'm 5th. I'm a game ahead of 6th. And it looks like these bottom 3 teams are pretty much all out. They're kind of just rebuilding. So there's pretty much going to be one team that does not make the playoffs. So we'll see what happens there. In terms of scoring, I'm pretty much in the middle. I had a very slow start to the year. So that was rough, but we're kind of turning things around. And then points against, I've been very fortunate. So anyways, that's going to do it for our lineups. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I love making these videos so you can see what's going on in my real life leagues. And make sure to drop a like and subscribe to the channel for more fantasy football content. And good luck in week 12, and I'll see you guys later. Peace out.